Okay, so let me repeat once again. Uh, so the moment we talk about a distributed system or the definition of distributed system, then we can say it is a set of hardware or software components which are spatially separated and then they are networked together to accomplish a task and they communicate and coordinate using message passing. So the first thing, the components may be software or hardware in nature and they have to be connected together and they can communicate and coordinate using message passing. This is the basic definition. And the moment we go with this definition of distributed system, then we do have some of the properties or the following main properties of distributed system, which are concurrency, no global clock, and independent failures. Concurrency means we are going to perform multiple tasks simultaneously. And the ultimate motto of your distributed system is to get access to the shared resources. Okay, so we want to utilize our resources as efficient as possible. This is the primary motto of distributed system. Okay, then no global clock. No global clock means the moment you talk about synchronization or you want to achieve synchronization, then you have to have some sort of timing with you. Okay, and in distributed system there is no such timing or no such clock is available which will provide you the exact time. Okay, so over here we are talking about the accuracy of uh, very high level, for example microsecond, nanosecond, 1 picosecond. Okay, so uh, we are talking about a very higher level of accuracy. Thereafter, the third inherent property of distributed system is independent failure. Since we have got number of components and they are networked together, so failure may occur in variety of ways. Okay, for example, independent component may fail, the network link itself may get failed. Okay, then the process may get failed, or the communication channel somehow get failed. So there are variety of failures which may occur in distributed system. And important thing which has to be noted over here that we may not be aware about the failure which has just happened in the system, or some of the components may not be aware about the failures of the other system. Okay, so these are the inherent characteristics of distributed system. Okay, so I hope all of you have got the concept. Is there any doubt, students?
Sir, I have a doubt one.
Yeah.
No, what is no global clock means? I can't understand.
No global clock means suppose we have got four number of components and let's suppose we have got four computers, right? So if you
Okay.
try to observe closely, then you will observe that the clocks of all those four desktop computers not exactly same. You may observe some difference of, let's say, seconds and milliseconds that tend to happen. No matter how accurately you have set the clock, but after some period of time, they will tend to deviate. Okay, so you will observe there is a difference, and even the difference of 1 second is going to matter in the number of applications. So this is what we mean by that there is no single global clock which will give you the exact time. Exact time. Okay, so we are talking about a very high accuracy over here, and we will discuss this particular point in detail in the coming classes. Okay,
Yes, sir.
yeah, any other doubt? Okay, so I'll move forward then. So these are the examples of a typical distributed system. So your internet is one of the a famous example of distributed system, since we have got number of components and all those components are netted together and they do communicate with each other, right? So this is the one of the example of your distributed system, and this is how this system looks like in 2003 and 2005 respectively. Your Facebook is again one of the good examples of distributed system, and this is how the interconnection of all the components looks like in Facebook. Okay. Then characterization of distributed system. So we will discuss all those things in detail in the earlier classes. But anyway, So the moment we talk about distributed system, or in short, DSY, then we talk about the network of computers which are present everywhere. And these computers maybe sometimes, or you can say these components may represent computers, mobile phones, corporate networks, campus, home, internet. So there will be the networks of all these things as well. Okay, so what we are trying to say that the network of computers, the network of components of the network is present everywhere. Somewhere in the form of mobile networks, somewhere in the form of corporate networks, somewhere in the form of campus, home, and internet. Okay, so we are surrounded by the networks. So you can term all these as a distributed system. And we already discussed that what exactly we mean by distributed system. So a distributed system is a system in which hardware or software components located in network computers communicate in coordinate directions only by means of message passing, right? So the point which has to be noted over here that they are spatially separated, right? They may be in separate continent or same building or same room. Then the fundamental characteristics also we have discussed. Okay, concurrency. Concurrency means I can do my own work on my computer while you can do your work on your system or computer. So the ultimate motto over here is to increase or to just motivate the notion of sharing resources. Okay, so the ultimate goal over here is to sharing the resources, and the resources may be web pages or files or some data, right? And this is one of the example of concurrency, dining philosopher problems, where all the persons are eating their noodles separately on the common table. Okay. Then this is the second characteristics which we have just discussed. So as I told you that there is no single global notion of the correct time which all participating components can follow. Okay. So as a direct consequence, what we do or how do we coordinate and communicate? We coordinate and communicate with the help of exchanging messages. Okay. So the only means of communication in distributed system is by sending messages through a network. Okay, because we do not have a correct single notion of time. Then independent failures, as I told you earlier as well, that the moment we talk about the computer systems, then they can fail in variety of ways, and they can fail in such a way that the other components may not be in a position to detect those failures. Okay, so failures or the fault maybe they are in network, failures may be there in the operating system or maybe in the process. Okay, so if some process or some network get failed, then it may possible that the others are still running and may not be aware about it. Okay, so this is why we call it as a independent failures. So these are the fundamental characteristics of distributed system. Then, as we have discussed, that the moment we talk about resources, that means it is an abstract term that characterizes the range of things that can be usefully be shared in a networked computer system. So, in the terms of hardware, there can be a floppy drive, a disk drive, or the printer. In terms of the software, there can be a database. Okay, there can be some multimedia files. Okay, or some sort of other data, right? So, it can be anything. So the ultimate motto for constructing and using distributed system stem from a desire is to share resources. Okay, this is what you have to remember. Then, as we discussed, the examples of distributed system may be your internet. Okay, the ARPANET first off is the first instance of the internet. Okay, which has been designed for the military purpose by the US. Then your intranet is again one of the good example of your distributed system. So we have got number of components, and all these components are connected with a link, and that link may be established by some optical cables or some satellite communications. Okay, and this is a typical diagram of an internet where we have got number of components, right? And some local servers are also attached to that network, and this particular network is attached to the rest of the internet with the help of a router, where some firewall can also be placed. Okay, so this is the typical look of our local internet, which we generally find in our labs and all. Okay, so over here the point which has to be noted is uh, that the moment you talk about internet, then you can say that this is separately administered network. Okay, and in this particular type of network, local security policies are generally enforced or configured. Okay, so as we all know, what is router? Router is a device which connects our local network to the rest of the world, right? And firewall, the role of the firewall is to just protect internet by preventing unauthorized messages leaving or entering. Okay, so with the help of firewall, we will implement some policies or will apply some filters. With those filters, we can make sure that or we can say that which packets are allowed to enter inside our network or just to go outside our network. Okay, so we can enforce some of the policies, some local policies. So mobile and ubiquitous computing is also one of the example of a distributed system. As we have discussed that there can be variety of components. The component may be your mobile phone, okay, your some multimedia devices, camera, iPod, laptop, desktop, workstation, servers. So there may be number of computing devices, and we call them as a ubiquitous devices. And such sort of network where some sort of computation takes place, we call it as the ubiquitous computing. And the moment you coin mobile and ubiquitous computing together, that means we can perform computation at some other places as well. For example, if I'm sitting in my room, then I can do the computation with the help of my mobile in this room as well. And what I can do, I can carry my mobile outside my room, and again I can do or I can perform some sort of computation. Okay, that means I've got some devices which can be operated anywhere, right? So if you are carrying your laptop with you in your room, then you can work over there as well. And if you carry your laptop in the college or at some other places, then you can again perform some sort of computation. So they are mobile in nature. They are not fixed. It is not like if they'll be placed on a particular place, only then they will be able to perform some sort of computation. Okay. If they are mobile in nature, that means if you can carry them to any place and still if they are able to do the computation, then you can say they are mobile in nature. Okay, and such form of computing is called as a mobile computing. And if there are variety of devices, then you can say that it follows a ubiquitous computing paradigm as well. Okay, so with the time, the resources are also increasing and the number of components are also increasing. Okay. So we have discussed these resources, right? This can be printer, fax, disk, database files, web pages, search engines. And then service, the moment you talk about a service, that means the moment you have placed a request, then you are expecting a response as well. So it has to have a two-way communication. So if it is a two-way communication, then you can say it is a service. Okay. And if you talk about a file service, then you can think of services like read, write, and delete. Okay, so in file services, generally these are the number of operations which we generally find. Then the clients and servers, these we are going to discuss in detail. Okay, client is a process, client is a system we can say which make the request, and server is a system which serves or respond to a request, right? Or which serves the request. So we'll discuss them in detail in the coming classes. Then the World Wide Web, as we all know, that it is an evolving and open system for publishing and accessing resources and services across the network. So it is a huge network where you find number of resources okay, with the help of a client, which is a web browser generally, and with the help of this client, we retrieve many type of documents or the multimedia data. Okay. Then these are the technologies which incorporate or which facilitate the use of World Wide Web, such as HTML, URL, and your client server architecture. Okay, which uses your HTTP protocol. So anyway, all these things are very basic, so I'm not going into the detail. Then this is how the interaction takes place in between the web browser and web servers. So then we also discussed the design challenges of distributed system in the previous classes. So the design challenges of distributed system are heterogeneity, concurrency, scalability, transparency, openness, failure handling, and security. Okay, these are the main design challenges of a distributed system. Okay, so the moment we want to design any distributed system, or say someone has given us a task to design a distributed system. So the moment we think about designing a distributed system, then we have to deal with all these challenges. We have to come up with a solution that how we are going to deal with all these challenges. Okay. So the first one is heterogeneity. Heterogeneity means there can be variety of components. Okay, for example, let's say we can have a mobile, we can have a desktop computer, we can have a laptop. Okay, then we can have some sort of computing devices, let's say iPod. Now if you want to make a network of all those devices, then how we are going to form a network and how those devices are going to communicate together. Okay, that we have to see. Okay, so this is heterogeneity in the form of the hardware components. Okay, then there can be heterogeneity in the form of their operating system as well. For example, our mobile device operate on Android OS, right? Then our desktop computer, generally we have Linux or Windows, right? So there is heterogeneity in the terms of operating systems as well. So let's say if my mobile is operating on Android and my desktop is operating in Windows, then how exactly these two devices are going to communicate together, that also we have to see. Okay, so heterogeneity may be there in the terms of hardware, maybe there in the terms of operating system, it may be there in terms of programming as well. Okay, then it may be in the terms of programming styles as well. The heterogeneity may be there in the terms of networks as well, right? We are talking about the designing a distributed system, right? So it may have the network of networks, right? And the moment we talk about network of networks, that means, let's say in one lab we have applied mesh topology, and in another lab we have applied bus topology or the star topology, right? So the topologies have been different in these two networks, then how exactly these two networks are going to be connected, that also we have to see, right? So this is what the heterogeneity may be there in the terms of networks as well. Or let's say the first network is using IPv4 system and the other network is using IPv6 network. Or it may be possible that the one network is going for the little endian concept and the other network is going for the big endian concept. Okay, little endian and big endian means it is just how you are going to read the data. Okay, if you are going to, means there are two ways of reading the data. Okay, and that reading is only called as a big endian and little endian. We'll discuss this thing in detail as well. So I hope the heterogeneity is clear to all of you. Then concurrency we already discussed, right? If you got multiple processes or the multiple components and some shared pool of resources, then how exactly we are going to access that shared pool of resources? So what strategy has to be there, that also we have to see, right? Then scalability. So how scalable our system can be. For example, if you have got 10 components in a system, then can we scale it as per the requirement? So if we can scale it, that means we have to deal with its challenges as well. Okay. Then openness. Uh, Generally, you have to deal with this challenge, particularly in a scenario where you want to provide or you want to give the impression to the client that each and everything is quite. We are talking about openness, right? Yeah, in case of openness, generally we try to publish some interfaces, specifications open to all. Okay, that means let's say we have got a distro system, and the moment you want to add a new component into it, then all the specification, all the interface of our system has to be defined. If all the things are well defined, only then you can add any new system or you can make the changes to the existing system very easily. Okay, so you have to define all the things in a very clear way. Okay, so in technical terms, you can say that the specification, all the interfaces has to be published or has to be kept open. Okay, so that any changes in the existing system or any addition to the system can be made possible in a easy way. Okay, this is what we mean by openness. And transparency means that the user must get the impression that it is dealing with a single system only. Okay, what is going behind the background, it should not be aware about that data. Okay, it is like that you are trying to book a ticket in IRCTC website. Okay, and now let's say there are 1,000 number of servers. So which server is actually involved in order to book your ticket, you are not going to worry about that, or you need not to worry about that, right? So how exactly they are managing your ticket booking, you need not to worry about that, or you are not interested in that, right? So this is what transparency means. So there will be transparency. Transparency maybe in the variety of ways. For example, access transparency, location transparency. Okay, for transparency, there are a variety of ways. Okay. So in short, transparency means the client or the component should get the impression that it is dealing with a single system. Okay. Then the failure handling. If any type of failure occurs, then how you are going to mask that failure or how you are going to deal with that failure. Okay, this is what we mean by failure handling. So we have already discussed the variety of failures. So if those failures are there or if the failures happens, then how exactly we are going to manage them. Okay, so this is also one of the challenge which we have to deal with. Then the security, as we discussed in the earlier class, that the in distributed system, security is also very big challenge. So the moment you talk about security, that means you're talking about three things, and those three things are confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Okay, so you have to provide all these three things the moment you talk about security in distributed system. Is there any doubt in all these challenges?
No, sir.
Okay. So as we discussed, the heterogeneity of components may be there in these terms, in the terms of networks, computer hardware, OS, programming languages, and even in the different styles of the developer. Okay. And we can address them with the help of protocols and middleware. We'll discuss them in detail. Then the openness we have discussed, right? So it defines the degree to which new resources sharing services can be added and be made available for use by a variety of client programs. Okay, so it generally define that how exactly a system can be extended or implemented in variety of ways. If all the things, all the interfaces, or all the specification are there, then any implementation or any modification to the existing system can be done very easily. Okay. So this can be done at the hardware level or at the software level. Okay. Then security. So we have to we can secure our data and services with confidentiality, integrity, and availability. Confidentiality means protection of your data against the unauthorized individuals. Okay, or you can say the protection against disclosure to unauthorized individuals. So you are just trying to protect the data so that the unauthorized users cannot see it. Okay, in case of integrity, whatever data you're sending from one place to another place, it should not get altered or should not get corrupted or should not get deleted. Okay, however, somebody can see it, but nobody can alter the data. This is what we mean by integrity. Okay, and the protection against availability means whatever data and services we are offering to the clients, that has to be made, or that has to be available all the time without any disruption or without any interferences. Okay, so in availability we provide protection against interference with the means to access the resources. Okay, so this is another example where we send some data in encrypted form. Okay, while performing some transaction to our e-commerce websites. Then we have discussed the denial of service attack, which is an example of your availability. Okay. Then this one we also discuss scalability. So scalability means if a system is scalable, then it will remain effective when there is a significant increase in the number of resources and the number of users. So a tabular representation has been given where we can see that with time how many computers have been there and how many web servers have been deployed. Okay, so this is the data of our typical internet, right? So if our internet was follow the principle of scalability, then it would have been very difficult for us to use internet in today's world, right? Our internet is scalable in nature only because of this property. All we are able to use the internet, okay, or all we are able to connect new devices to this internet because it is scalable. Now there are a number of challenges. We have discussed already all these things earlier. Then failure handling, right? So computer system sometimes fails and there may be variety of failures, right? And there may be independent failures. So how exactly we are going to deal with those failures, that we have to see. Then concurrency, okay? So where several clients will attempt to access the shared resources at the same time. Okay, for example, online auction. Now the transparency, as we discussed, that the concealment from the user and the application programmer of the separation of components in a distributed system so that the system is perceived as a whole. Okay, the end user must get the impression that it is dealing with a single system. Okay, this is, if you are able to achieve this one, then you can say your system is transparent. Okay, and these are the types of transparency. So transparency can be there in terms of access, location, concurrency, replication, failure, mobility, performance, and scaling. Okay, so the name, the keyword themselves justify what exactly we mean by them. Okay, so I hope these things are clear. If the things are clear, then we will move forward to discuss the further things. If there is any question, then you can ask. Yes, students, any questions? Any question? Anybody? Anukriti? Abhishi?
So no doubt.
Okay. Vishal? Shireen?
No doubt, sir.
Shireen?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Harsh?
No doubt, sir.
है ना, ये पूरा क्लास जो है आप ही करंट जो है रिवाइंड करना पड़ा है ना, आप ही लोगों को करंट जो है पूरा रिपीट करना पड़ा है. एमटेक स्टूडेंट्स, एनी डाउट? इफ you have any doubt, then you can ask. Okay.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So we'll move forward. Now we are starting a new topic in distributed system, which is models of distributed system. Okay, so as we can see in this diagram that there are three main models of distributed system. The first one is physical model, the second one is fundamental models, and the last one is architectural models. Okay, so the moment we think about designing a distributed system, we have to first go for the modeling, and the modeling of distributed system can be done in these three varieties. Okay, physical, fundamentals, and architectural. The moment we talk about physical models, that means in this particular type, we try to capture the hardware composition of system in terms of computer and their interconnecting networks. So in this particular type, we generally deal with the raw components. What are the components which are going to be there and how we are going to connect them. Okay. In this particular thing or in this particular modeling, we do not go for much details. Okay, we do not specify what protocols we are going to follow for the exchange of messages. Okay, or you can say what sort of network we are going to employ. This is just a raw interconnection of the devices. Okay, so we have got number of devices and we have just connected them without specifying much detailing. Okay, so this is what we mean by physical models. So basically there are four types of physical models. The first one is baseline physical model. The second one is early distributed systems. Third one is internet scale distributed system. And the fourth one is contemporary distributed system. In your typical baseline physical model, we just have few components, a few number of components, let's say 8 to 10, and then we're just trying to connect them. Okay, this is what we mean by a typical baseline physical model. And your early distributed system means we are talking about early 90s, early 60s and 70s, where we had some number of computing devices or some devices, and then we were able to connect them, right? And then the moment we connect them, then we try to communicate with the other components. Okay, so basically these are the evolution of your distributed system. All these four type is the evolution of your distributed system. Okay, in the first one we had few components, let's say two components, and then we were able to succeed or we succeed in connecting them, and then we succeed in exchanging few messages. Okay, then in early digital system, we were able to form some intranets. Intranet means some local network we were able to formulate. So in those local network, let's say we have got 10 to 15 number of systems and we were able to connect them. For example, the ARPANET. Okay. So in this particular thing, we were able to broaden our internet. Okay, and now in the third one, internet scale distributed system, this is the typical example of your internet. Now we are talking about the network of networks. Okay, in this first one only few components were there and the interconnection has been done. Then over here we are coming to the internet. Yeah, any doubt? Okay, let me repeat once again. Here we are talking about only few components And over here we are talking about our typical intranet, and then over here we are talking about our internet. Okay, so this is how the scaling is going to be taking place. Okay, so we had only few components, then we were able to connect them, and we were able to exchange some messages in the typical baseline physical models. In early distributed systems, we were able to make a local intranet or local network where let's say 50 to 100 components were possibly connected and they were able to communicate. In the internet, where we can say the network has been established, and then again some sort of communication and coordination has been taken place. Okay, as we can see how exactly we are communicating in today's world with the help of the internet. Okay, now the contemporary distributed system means this time we have included all the types of computing devices or all the form of computing into consideration. We do have discussed mobile computing, we do have discussed ubiquitous computing, right? And now all the form of computation or all the form of distributed system which you can think of has been included in this one. And in today's world, we are dealing with this type of system, which is termed as contemporary distributed system. Okay, so in this variety, we can include cloud computing, we can include grid computing, and all these recent form of computing or edge computing or fog computing, whatever it is. So all this computing is there in this particular system. Okay, where there will be variety of computing and there will be variety of computation and there will be variety of paradigms in which the overall thing happens. Okay, for example, you have fog, edge, cloud, grid, and so many. Okay, so I hope these things are clear. Then the fundamental models. So the fundamental models generally deals with the basic properties which are common to all. Okay, so in short, you can say the physical model capture the hardware composition. Oh, it is same, right? I have not changed it. Okay, anyway, the fundamental models means we are talking about the properties which are common to the all. Okay, so the moment you talk about interaction model, then you are going to see the performance of the interaction. Okay, if we have got the number of components and if you are going for the interaction model of fundamental model, then you are always going to worry about the communication part only. If you got the number of components, then how exactly the communication or the coordination in between the components are going to take place. So you are going to deal with that part only. Okay, in failure model, we try to handle the failures which are going to happen or which has happened in the system. Okay, so this type of modeling will always deal with the failures only. Okay, and your security model is always going to deal about the security aspects only. Okay, so how you can provide the security to the overall communication or to the overall system, that is going to be taken care by this particular model. This is your security model. Okay, then the third one is architectural model. In this particular model, we just try to see the components which are going to be used in the system and what role they are going to take for the communication. Okay, and what is the relationship which is going to be there. Student, just a minute. Okay, so we are back again. Yeah. So in architectural models, am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. In the architectural model, we just try to specify the components and the relationship in between those components. Okay, what role they are going to take in that particular interconnection. That is what we mean by in architectural models. So there can be two types basically. The first one is client server and the other one is peer-to-peer. In client server, let's say we have got two components. If one of the component take the role of the client and the other as a server, then you can say this is a client server model where one request and the other serves the request. Okay, so over here you can see that the structure of the system is client server type, and over here the one component has taken the role of the server and the other component has taken the role of the client. Okay, and the other type is peer-to-peer, where all the components is having the same role. Okay, in peer-to-peer model, what happens? All the components go for the same role. Okay, so this is what we mean by the models of distributed system. Okay, so basically we got three models. Anyway, so I'll stop here, and there are so many things which have to be discussed. So we'll discuss in the next class. So if you guys have got any doubt, then you can ask me. Any doubt? BTech students? No? Sunanda? Suyash? I'm waiting for your response. Suyash?
No, sir. No doubt.
Okay. Mohammad Faizan?
No doubt, sir.
Okay. Harsh?
No doubt, sir.
Okay. So I'm just ending this class today because I know many of the MTech students are new and they are attending their first class. So that is why I'm not going to cover a lot of things. Okay. So in the next class, a lot of things are going to be covered. So be prepared for that one. Okay. So all of you are requested to mark the attendance and check the details as well on the provided sheet. Okay. So make sure that you have marked your attendance and you have also checked your details. Okay. So with that, I am ending today's class. Thank you, students.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.